George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about. Don Sawyer, Vice President, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, something like that. He's also professor at Quinnipiac University and a hip hop head. Let me just say it that way. And so you may not know this, but there is some considerable tension, if you will, between the Dominican Republic and the country of Haiti, even though Haiti, if you will, they both share the same island, the island of Hispaniola, but there was a significant massacre of Haitians by Trujillo back in, I believe it was 1932, but he basically wantonly slaughtered any of the Haitians in the Dominican Republic along that border in this river, right? Yeah, they call it the Parsley Massacre, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and obviously, and very recently, as I understand it, the Dominican Republic, basically, if you're a Haitian in the Dominican Republic and you were born in the DR, you basically have no country because they basically strip your citizenship away, but you're not Haitian. You're not Haitian by that. You're Haitian, but you don't have Haitian. So you're like, you have no country.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. They're stateless people.
Right, stateless people because you're born in the DR, you're Dominican by birth, but your heritage and nationality is Haitian, so you have no, and they did that intentionally. So that's sort of the backdrop, and this whole, and then also, what did I learn about this massacre? Like the reason how they found you back in when they went and did that, they basically did a propaganda campaign to tell the Dominicans that, they were stealing your cattle and stealing your stuff, and basically slaughtered all these people. So this river, in many ways, is a blood river, right? Because
that's what it's called, the blood river.
The blood river.
I've been there.
Mm. What's that feel like when you go there?
So to be honest, so I was there, and I walked across the river, and I started crying. Just started crying for no reason. I just felt like overwhelmed in that space. And it was similar feeling that I had when I went to visit some of the slave dungeons when I had the opportunity to go to Ghana. Like I walked into the space and just felt overwhelmed by like a presence and started crying there. So it was a very similar feeling.
And so in that backdrop, here we go. You are creating what we call the Hip Hop Heals Community Center Project to bridge the gap between Dominican youth and Haitian youth, many of whom look just like one another, right? Mirror images. They just, one speaks, French and Creole, the other speaks Spanish, and they probably all speak all the languages if you're on that island. So the significance of that background and this project, Don Sawyer, why did you think that this was important?
Well, so originally it started back in 2017. I was there. I had brought some students over, and we were, about to finish our time. It was some health education students that were there. And, I met this brother named Clarence, he's Haitian, but he was in the Dominican Republic as a medical student. And so, I'm trying to speak Spanish, which was rusty, very rusty at the time. And then at the end of the trip, I had said to someone, ask him who his favorite rapper is. And he was like, my favorite rapper is Kendrick Lamar. And dude started speaking in English. So he had me struggling in Spanish this whole time. And the whole time that I was there, I didn't know he spoke English until the last half an hour that I was there. And so we started talking about hip hop. And he started to talk about the youth in the community who love hip hop. And I was like, well, what do they do? He's like, they don't have any way to record it. And so I was like, what if we raise money to get some equipment and just start a studio or something like that? And he was like, I think it would be great. And so I was like, we're about to leave. So I just took out my phone and we recorded a video. I used that for a GoFundMe in 2017, told people what it was about. We raised that money to start the Hip Hop Heals Project, which started out just as a small mobile studio that would allow Haitian and Dominican youth to come together through the love of hip hop culture. And so the first rap group that came out of the project was called the Street Boys. And it was 2 Dominicans and 2 Haitians in the same group. And so we would always say that, we're building bridges between communities, 16 bars at a time, 16 bars being the traditional length of a rap verse. So That's when the project started.
You know, so 2 Dominicans, 2 Haitians. I mean, what's their sense of the issue between the 2 countries on the same island? And also, let's call it what it is. There's a wealth disparity, right, between the 2 countries. You know, Haiti still being, if you will, penalized for their rebellion. Many people don't know that. Well, let me refresh people's memory. Haiti was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to successfully revolt against slavery, right? And but they had to pay France a ransom, if you will, for many years that they still, in some ways, have not recovered from. And so, from your standpoint on the ground, what does it feel like for these 2 youth, and how significant is it?
So, I mean, I think it's significant in the sense that they live, like the people who I work with pretty much live in the same community, right? So the community where I am is in the Puerto Plata province. You know, we did work. It's called Imbert. Is the name of the main city where we are, and then outside of that is a community called La Pares, which is where we are. And so in this one area of that community is Haitians and Dominicans who live there. You know, some are poor, but they engage with each other on a daily basis. And so you don't necessarily see the tensions there, specifically with the young people. Maybe some of the elders, you might see some of the tensions, but with the young people, they've grown up with one another, right? They speak the same language, and most of them are speaking Spanish. You know, some of the Haitians do know Creole, you know, through their families, but their main language is Spanish. And so they connect that way. And so all of them are looking at Black U.S. culture and kind of defining their identities based on what they see as the Black cool aesthetic. And so when you go there, you know, you see people with their Jordans on. I mean, they're fake Jordans, but I mean, I've seen colors that I've never seen before. But they're fresh, right? They're holding their styrofoam cups, even though it's only water in there. But they're projecting this image. But they're coming together through this love of hip hop culture and the power of their voice through this music and culture.
It's interesting that you talk about both these youth identifying with American Black culture when in the Dominican Republic, this sort of, I don't know what it is, but when it comes to this identifying as Black, there seems to be a thing, even though they're Black. So,
I mean, for some, I mean, people look like you and me, but like, yo, no negro, right? They're not, no Africano, like they're not, but it's like, bruh, yes, you are. You are. And even when I've gone there in the past, like I was in the southern part and near La Romana, and I had gone there with like faculty members. And so I was the only Black faculty member, and we were going into our spot. And so the security guard who's there, my complexion, maybe even a little darker, you know, the driver was like, you know, these are professors, they're staying here doing this work. And they made him roll the window down because he saw me. And he was like, you know, he asked in Spanish, what about this one? And he was like, yeah, he's a professor. And they were like, no, this one, like making sure that they were pointing at me. He's like, yes, he's a professor. And he looked at me like puzzled. And then, you know, he let us, you know, go through. And so, you know, there's some tensions there. And even now, you know, the U.S. State Department recently released a statement, you know, telling people who are darker skinned Americans who are going to visit the DR to be careful and have the U.S. State Department number on them, because over the past month or so, there have been these mass deportations. And so in some of those sweeps that were done, U.S. citizens who were thought to be Haitian got detained in some of those sweeps to be deported. I mean, granted, they didn't get deported, the Haitians did, but there have been a lot of these sweeps more recently.
And this is really, and so that's why, and so that really, do you think that this hip hop, by the way, talking to Don Sawyer, he's part of the hip hop Heals Community Center project. He is a hip hop scholar, by the way, just so you know. And we'll talk about that as well. And the power of this center to sort of bridge a gap, or the power of projects like this to bridge a gap, because these feelings are entrenched. I mean, you know, if you're Haitian in the Dominican Republic, it's problematic for you. It just is. Mm-hmm. And we talk about human rights, we talk about all of those things, but this is a day-to-day thing. Now, how do you contrast this, Don? I'm going on another track now as I think about it, because many of us find, especially U.S. African Americans, we're in Punta Cana, right? We're in all these different places. Is that the same? Do we get treated differently because we go to these places? Punta Cana, that's the one, right? I think that's yeah.
I mean, I think you're treated differently when you open your mouth, right? Because if I'm walking down the street, I mean, and it also depends on how you're dressed, right? Because technically, I can dress in a certain way where I blend in, and no one would know if I'm Dominican or not until I open my mouth, or if I'm Haitian or not until I open my mouth and they hear my voice, or if I'm in the airport and they see a blue passport or something like that. And so, for the most part, like, I haven't had issues there in the Dominican Republic, except that one time that I told you about when I was in La Romana. And so you see a lot of people of color who go there. Now, I don't go to the resort, so I don't know what the resorts look like. But you do see a lot of people of color traveling there, for multiple reasons. Some Black men are traveling there for women, some women, Black women and other women are going there for cosmetic surgery. You see them coming home on
the BBL.
Yeah, there's a lot of BBLs getting done in the DR. So you see all of this. And so we are engaging, we're spending money there. And so that's the other thing. And so some of the locals are like, yo, like, stop doing these sweeps, because if you're telling Black people not to come, or you're telling the U.S. citizens not to come, that's how we make money. We make money from tourists. And so the other piece that's happening is, as they're doing these sweeps, you have people who are in the construction industry like, yo, we can't keep doing these sweeps, because the Haitians make up probably over 70% of the people who are doing construction in the country. And so if you keep on sweeping them out, that's not going to be done, right? The sugar is not going to be produced. Similar to here in the U.S., when people talk about, oh, we got to get rid of these illegals, or we got to get rid of these undocumented people. But we know that if we were able to get rid of all undocumented people in the U.S., our economy would crumble. Same thing in the Dominican Republic. If you got rid of all of the Haitians in the Dominican Republic, the economy would crumble. They need the Haitian labor that's there. But what people are asking for is sensible immigration policy that would allow there to be a path to citizenship. They don't have birthright citizenship like we have.
They just took it away, right? Didn't they just take it away?
No, they didn't have birthright.
They never had it. They never had it. Okay. Yeah. Don, as I think about it, and of course it's well documented, the rejection of African heritage in some parts of the Dominican Republic.
Absolutely.
Right? Well documented. And yet, so your scholarship, among other things, is in hip hop music and culture. And give me a temperature check and how, because I know Lizzo just did a thing about how pop music has had some racist origins. It was a headline she talked about, and hip hop is the pop music of today, right? Mm-hmm. Which has this power to heal. Give me a temperature check on why you think hip hop, in this particular instance, may have, not only in this instance, but like where it is in terms of culturally and the power that it has to bring communities together globally.
So when I was there recently, I mean, I just got back like a day or so ago. We're sitting in one of the rooms of the Hip Hop Center. We still have one of the rooms that have to be finished, but I'm sitting in there with Dominicans and Haitians and me in the room talking about what the next steps are going to be for this center. And so they've been able to build relationships and kind of for their lives in a sense negate some of those historical tensions that have existed like within their families. Like one of the first things that we did probably back in 2018, we had like a music showcase. And so the Haitian and Dominican youth were sitting together. Now the Haitian and Dominican elders weren't sitting together. Some were on one side, some were on the other side. But for the youth, they were in the same group intermingling because they play with each other, outside. They're running around with each other outside. I mean, they might hear what some of the elders might say, but for them, these are their homies, right? These are the people who they're watching these videos with. These are the people who they're taking pictures of, and learning how to dress, and doing these videos. And now that they have this equipment, they're recording these songs. So that's what I'm seeing, right? Those are the bridges that I'm seeing through this hip hop project. And I think hip hop has the power to unite and give people voice. We know what it did for us here in the U.S. context. And every place that I've been fortunate enough to visit, hip hop exists there in its own way. When I went to Brazil, hip hop was there in its own way. South Africa, Ghana, Cuba, like all of these places, hip hop exists there and has a transformative power. And that's what we were banking on with this hip hop project in the DR.
So, Hip Hop Hills Community Center project, you are raising money. You had a goal of $8,000, I believe, and
Yep.
you're at 12,000. Well, at the time of this conversation,
Yep.
you're at 12,590. You're still looking for people to contribute to it?
Yeah, I mean, we take contributions, and when you contribute to this, we're partnering with a 501c3 that you see there, the Starfish Foundation, and so all of the donations are tax deductible, and so people can donate. As you can imagine, just like it was here in the U.S. with prices for everything going up, prices when we originally set the $8,000 goal, the prices were a little bit different at that time. And so, like I said, we're still got some finishing touches to do on one of the classrooms, but it's just great to see how people bought into the vision and donated because they believed in the power of hip hop. They believed in the idea of healing and community formation. And so, we're just really grateful for the people who have already donated. All right, and we'll have their names in the building as well. So everybody who donates, we're going to be printing and framing like a list of all of the donors that will remain in the building so people see who supported them.
And I ain't mad at you that you just rolled off Cuba, South Africa, Brazil. I ain't mad at you, brother. I see you. You. Did you get to Bahia? Did you go over there?
No.
I mean, in Brazil. I just wondered where you went.
So in Brazil, I went to Brasilia. I went to Rio de Janeiro, and what else did we? It was another place, but I went there when I was like 17.
Okay,
that's what opened my worldview. Like coming from Harlem and getting the opportunity to go to Brazil, and then not knowing, because I didn't know the history of Brazil at that time, and seeing all of these Black people in Brazil, and I'm like, yo, what? And so that just like blew my mind, and understanding this concept of poverty, meeting with young youth at the time who were living in the favelas, right? And understanding their plight and comparing it to our plight, growing up, for me in public housing, that trip when I was 17 really changed my worldview. So yeah, I've been fortunate, and blessed to be able to connect with people across the diaspora, in all of these places that I've been able to go.
All right. Before I go, I have to ask you about Kanye. Just what?
Kanye, I think Kanye has issues. I mean, of course, I don't agree with the stuff that he's doing and saying. But I also think we have to be very careful that Kanye and Kyrie don't become the face of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, right. How did that? Like what? Really?
Yeah, that would be problematic. But yeah, I mean, Kanye, he's out there. He's lost it. I'm not a mental health professional or anything like that, so I can't speak on his mental health state. But he just seems like he needs some assistance.
So the Hip Hop Hills Community Center, I had to get that in because that's top of mind. It's in the news right now. Hip Hop Hills Community Center project, healing lives in the DR, the Dominican Republic, creating a space where Haitian and Dominican youth can create harmony through music and perhaps heal two nations. It's really on the one side if you think about what's really going on. At least that's my perception. Am I clarify that for me if I'm wrong about that?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm seeing because I'm in the DR, and so that's what we hear about, the stuff that's happening there, the treatment, the exploitation of some of the undocumented Haitians. And so maybe just lastly with that is that when we think about the deportation of the Haitians, now it'll be like them taking you and me and dropping us off in the middle of Tanzania.
Right.
Saying go back. We don't know a doggone thing about Tanzania just because we are descendant of people who came from Africa. That's the same thing that's happening with these people who have been in the DR for multiple generations, and you're deporting them to Haiti, and they know nothing about Haiti. They've never been there, but that's where they're being sent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. What's the website we can go to help this project along?
Oh man, so it's a long website, but if you type in Hip Hop Heals Community Center fundraiser,
that's where you can get it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's just do that. Yo, Don Sawyer, good to see you. You know, Syracuse alum, so show him some love. No, you didn't go to yeah, right? You know,
I did. I got 3 degrees from Syracuse, man. So I bleed orange. Bleed orange.
Go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, Don Sawyer, thank you. Don Sawyer, helping to bridge lives through hip hop in the community. Appreciate you, brother. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Inspiration for the nation.